everyone, welcome back to Haunted Hearsay. This is Halloween night, and I'm up in Donegal, actually in Caroline's sitting room. Caroline's in the kitchen. So we were out last night having a blast, gallivanting out on the ferry boat, and
there was quite a few things on now for the weekend here in Gweedore. There's been a festival all weekend down at the down past the GA pitch, down near the beach. We'll show you pictures of the tent and inside, and that had fabulous crowds the whole weekend. And they had a freak night last night with €1,000 prize for the winner of the best costume. I don't know who won it now. I haven't heard. And tonight, actually, the Washer Boys are on, so that should be a bit of fun. But we also went over to the Rosses and down to Burtonport, where the Arnmore Red Ferry had its annual freak, spooky-tacular sailing, as it were. The whole ship was taken over by pirates. They were the crew. Everybody went out.
We can talk through it.
Yeah, exactly. Show some pictures. We took pictures as well. So just taking into consideration, when we started, it was still light, but as it went on, it got dark very quickly, and we don't have night vision. Yeah, that's me before we left the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, we made it in one. I had to make sure I was well dressed under that dress for going on a ferry.
Quite cold.
We were well padded.
There's me with my cobbled together costume, very last minute, but it was fine with my big jacket on under.
Yeah, there was the ferry service was actually, that's us arriving at the ferry, and everybody's getting ready for the ferry to leave port, and you can see that dusk is coming in pretty quickly. So, and that's another friend that came along with her baby. Isn't he a cutie pie?
It's not.
It's Lorraine and her wee baby, yeah. So we had him on the ferry as well. There's some of the pirates that were captured trying to attack the boat. And as I say, that was the accommodation was turned into this wee haunted house of horrors, as it were. That's the captain of the ferry. And that's some of the pirates. Now, Ben, you were filming these. They were actually circling around the boat, trying to attack the boat.
Yeah, they were. They came very close. It was very exciting altogether. The ferry boat was kind of floating there, static, and that ferry, that speedboat was kind of going around from there.
Now, we know where we are there, but to anyone that doesn't know it, we're out in what's called the Black Hole. And that is about a mile from Burtonport Pier. And you're in between a group of islands. There are 9 islands in total. You're in between a group of them. It's known as the Black Hole because it's the deepest spot in that particular area. Now, those pirates were coming at us from all directions, but there was also pirates up in various islands. You would catch glimpses of fighting, and once the fireworks went off, you seen a wee bit more. Ben, yeah, they were trying to get on and steal our treasure.
There they are, when the kids caught the pirates.
That's right. And then to take them in there to get them tied up. And unfortunately, it was against the law to make them walk the plank, even though it was tempting.
So yeah, it was a bit of fun on a boat out in the high sea. Not the high sea, but out at the sea. Here, this is just as the fireworks were going off, a gang of people. And then I think coming up, we just have the actual fireworks. So
yes, enjoy the fireworks. These were coming off from the islands, and they went for like a good few minutes.
Yeah, they were great. They actually ran a couple 3 times that evening.
Yes.
We were on the first sailing, but next year we're going to go back and hopefully do some stories ourselves.
You can see the wee houses there, that's Fish Island. At the moment the boat's berthed just in front of Rutland Island. So this is all going on the islands, on either side of us and around us, which was, you don't get to appreciate it just watching it like this. Believe me, you need to be there.
Absolutely, and we were just filming on our phones as usual, so but it's nice to see them anyway. Caroline said we're berthed in the black hole in the channel between two islands, and there's whirlpools, and there were seals there just before it got dark. And
And those islands are all haunted anyway.
oh
And
yeah,
there's nobody staying on the islands at the moment. So it's spooky just being there at night, never mind at Halloween. um, whenever we left Burtonport, we decided to go down. I've told a story before in the past about the Chaban. And the Chaban was a hotel, a sort of a guest house for a very, very long time. And during the British occupation, it was taken over by the Brits and they used it as a barracks. And then it was used quite frequently. Closed down then for a long time. People often, and it's in a very lonely part of the Rosses over there at Kincasslagh, got, between Kincasslagh and Mullajarg Banks. And it was notorious, like people would say they'd seen ghosts or they'd heard things. And there was one woman in particular that worked there, and she worked behind the bar. This is in the 70s. And so whenever she was doing a late night, for instance, if there was music or whatever there, she would stay overnight. And she happened to stay this night, but she was on her own. And she'd gone to sleep. And the next thing she heard this big ruckus out on the street. And she thought, oh, please don't let that people thinking they're arriving here to get in for a late drink or whatever. And she went over to look out the window because it sounded like a lorry pulling up. And sure enough, there was a big old-fashioned lorry, and there were soldiers jumping out of it in these old-fashioned dresses, like old-fashioned uniforms. And she just couldn't understand what she was seeing. She thought, who in under God's, and why are they dressed like that? What's going on? So she went over and grabbed a dressing gown downstairs, through the accommodation, through the bar, out to the front door. There's nothing there. Absolutely nothing there. Now she's gone down to find out what's going on and why there are people there dressed like that. So, I mean, she was absolutely convinced. I mean, so much so that she came down the stairs to basically say, you're not getting in here at this time of the night and what's going on, etc. And I believe she didn't stay there alone after that. So when we were coming back from Burtonport last night towards Gweedore, we decided to go around by Kincasslagh and stop and see, could we pick anything up? So that was, by that stage, I had the wig off and I was introducing this. So I just wanted to say what that was before we got there. Now, it's no longer looks like a guest house. It was someone else bought it years back and converted it into basically a big warehouse. But we stopped and the three of us got out and we decided to try and do a wee bit of VVP, but no signal, unfortunately. So we just got a small video.
Work, unfortunately, which is annoying. So yeah, sure, I'll just play what we have now and then we'll move on.
Yeah. Hi everyone, we're out and about for Halloween. We're down here at the Chaban in Kincasslagh, which is a notoriously haunted place. Now it's been changed over the years. It's now a store. It used to be a hotel. And we're going to have a wee walk around and see if we can pick something up, hear something. And if we did, we'd probably put some yourself. More than that. Right. Have you a light on your phone torch? Oh, geez.
Oh.
She couldn't even run, you'd fall.
Is there anybody there?
No.
Is there anybody there?
Oh, okay. You wanted to talk about the turnip.
Yes. This I got from Facebook actually, and it's a carving. It's in a museum of a turnip that was done a long time ago. And I'm not sure. I think we're talking a couple of 100 years ago for this one. Now, I don't know what you think. Is that teeth carved in?
Yeah.
Or teeth shoved in?
Looks like it. Looks like they're carved, which is
Well, that's the story based on Jack O'Lantern, that character Jack that foiled the devil, and by the time it came to his dying, neither the devil nor God wanted him.
right. Yeah.
So you would cut this face into a turnip or a vegetable to sort of warn off other spirits. You don't want to end up like Jack. Now, I don't know how true that story is, but I know it was to ward off evil spirits. It wasn't just turnips. It was actually turnips, potatoes, any kind of vegetable that you could carve a face into, that they did it. And when the Irish took that tradition of Halloween sewing to America, there were no turnips to carve faces in, so it was handier for them to get pumpkins. So that was how that came about. But just basically, I'm a lot easier to carve a pumpkin than it is a turnip, and I have carved a turnip a long time ago. But it's really quite an exercise, that's for sure.
You put a candle inside a turnip, it doesn't smell good.
No, I don't imagine. I wouldn't say they hollowed it out and things like that. I'd say what they did is they carved a face into the actual, as opposed to hollowing it out and things like that. That's like a lot of work, really. But this seems more likely that they cut a face into it. So this is one from a few hundred years ago that's actually on show, and one that was preserved. Now, I mean, it was nice to see the kids and all in the boat last night. We have a few pictures of the tent here in Gweedore that they've used for the autumn festival for the last few days. As I say, tonight they've got the water boys. We went down today just to have a look what it's like sort of after and before the next gig. And one of the crew that were there setting up for this evening very kindly took my phone and walked around inside and took some photographs for me, etc. So it was very nice of him. I forgot to ask his name, but thank you very much. And just to give you an idea of what's going on down here in Gweedore. And so I say we came from the Rosses over to Gweedore. We'll get those pictures of the marquee up. So it wasn't so much that we had stories for you this weekend as we were showing you what people were doing here out and about. And the pictures, there's some pictures there at the beginning that was like everywhere decorated, fabulous. And this is a new thing for here. We're catching up with the American trick-or-treaters. We were mummers. We've always celebrated Samhain and we've always celebrated Halloween, but the trick-or-treater thing is very much American.
Explain very quickly what mummers is.
Well, the mummers are when it was the same sort of what's the word I'm looking for? It was the same sort of thing. Kids dressed up to go out and frighten away spirits, and they would traditionally, either sing a song or recite a poem or do a short play. And round here, people didn't have the money for costumes and things like that, as in the majority of Irish country areas wouldn't have had them. So the normal thing was to wear a black bag and blacken your face. And you would go round and you would, and they would maybe get a penny or some sweeties or something like that. But the mummers went out, not just on Halloween Eve. The mummers were out for all of October, all of Samhain.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Trick-or-treating's very much, where they go out on Halloween, All Hallows Eve, and, and that is, it's nicer and more condensed and much more fun. And we're certainly catching on to it here. Like this year I've seen a lot more sort of decorations and a lot more trick-or-treaters and a lot more events around that.
People were looking for stuff to do, for sure.
Well, the biggest Halloween event in the world is in Derry every year.
You were saying that to me earlier, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Gweedore and the Rosses are starting to stand on their own 2 feet, and I think I can see these events getting bigger and better every year. I mean, there's been, a few thousand people here the last couple of days going down to that marquee, to those concerts, and we've had no bother. It's, and everything's finished by 12 o'clock, obviously. And tonight now, it's a bit of a blustery night and raining, and it's, I don't fancy them down the marquee tonight. God love them. I hope they enjoy it. But we just wanted to say to do a few out and about, but there was a few things in my build up to Halloween when we were talking about the ancient customs. Yeah. And I was trying to remember the guy that had appointed himself God of all the people, all the folk that lived in Ireland, and that was Crumcree. Crumcree. And normally what he demanded from people coming, if you moved here with your people to live, or if you were existing, he demanded a sacrifice from people, be it, he wanted somebody high ranking from each. So it could have been the chieftain's daughter, it could have been, a child or whatever. And it was usually one that each tribe had to make a sacrifice every year, and it had to be one of, significance. because he'd appointed himself the God of all peoples in Ireland. This is before this is before the advent of St. Patrick. This is up until then. But we do know that that Crumcrease had a real vendetta against the northern counties. And I've told that story before, when he had tried attacking them several times and was never able to conquer them. And it's because we're a hardy people in Donegal and up the northern counties. But he at one time, there was Nemid and his tribe, the Numidians, had been decimated by a terrible flu and a terrible influenza, and they were left in a weakened state. So they were down to like 2,000 in number, and the majority that were men that could fight were still recovering from this flu. They weren't well. They weren't. So this Crumcree took it upon himself. This is when he knew, and this is out of fighting season. We've told you before there was such a thing as a fighting season in Ireland. Excuse me, which was during the summer. But out of season, he decided, he heard that Nemid and his people had been decimated by this flu. They were weak, they were vulnerable. This was the time to get them. And he did. And when he did, his sacrifice, he was able to conquer them. And his demands were that he wanted a quarter of their children for sacrifice. Now, I don't know if it ended with that, but I do know that it ended with St. Patrick bringing Christianity to Ireland. And we know that his indoctrination into Christianity here started with his greatest battle, which was that of the devil in Lough Derg, or his demons, whether, we don't know which devil, but we do know that he went to Lough Derg, to a cave there that he felt that he had to go to prove himself to God and to prove himself that his belief was steadfast, that he was in a position to bring this to these people. And he went and he faced his demons at this cave in Lough Derg and spent 3 days there and came out. And we also know that the church built a monastery over that cave, effectively closing it off to the public.
We watched the movie last night as well with Anthony Hopkins about exorcism. I don't know if you want to chat about that.
I do actually, but before I wanted to get off on the Lough Derg one, just to point out again.
We have a full video on Lough Derg as well, if anyone wants to look back at the channel.
Yeah, we do. But it was just like now for Lough Derg, it was somewhere that even when Patrick came back here, he knew that was where he had to go to face his demons. We do know that Ireland was settled briefly by the Sumerians going back at least 3,000 years ago. And through ancient Sumerian maps, and if you can get hold of one, you'll find that Ireland is a wee blob, and the only thing marked on it, it turns out to be the location that Lough Derg is in. Mm-hmm. Now, that's 3,000 years ago. How did they know that that cave was there? We also know that those caves are not just, they're all over in various places all over the world. We know that they're in Afghanistan, Israel. We know that they're in America, but let's face it, I have to stop myself there before I said something. The Americans claim to have quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe they're all across the world.
They're all across the world. We know, as I say, I know of certain ones that I know for a fact they're there, and they've been written about, etc. They're known as hellholes. So before, I just wanted to cover that very quickly before we moved on to the film we watched last night, The Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it because you were talking about the covering up of the cave on Lough Derg, and in the movie, it's basically a young. He's not even ordained as a priest yet, but he sort of ends up having to fight demons himself.
Well, The Right is based on a true story. Now, I don't know, is it true that there was a Welsh priest there that was a well-known exorcist, but we know of several. Maybe that was the based loosely part. Maybe they've changed his nationality but this story is based on true events. And this was a young man, not that he had a calling to the priesthood. He felt more obliged to go into it because it was something in his family that, there'd been sort of morticians or priests, or, he didn't want to be a mortician, so he thought he'd give being a priest to go. And he figured he would do his 4 years at college and see if he wanted to go ahead and, be ordained then at the end of it. But the more he did at college, the more he found that he had more questions. And so, as I said before, for every answer, he had a question.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. See, he found a lot of it hard to believe, hard to take in. Now, it was during his indoctrination that one of the older priests thought whatever he had done, there was something about him, and he recommended him to go and study in Rome as an exorcist, which he found intriguing, but didn't really take it on that he believed it. So he went to Rome, and it's during this time that he has his experiences where he fought his demons. But in the end up, he believed and went ahead and became ordained as a priest.
That's true, yeah. So there's like a kind of internal battle in his mind alongside the physical battle with the exorcising actual demons out of his mentor, who's Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, it was very interesting, I thought.
It is, because we had a quick glance at some of the things that come up for today. And one of them was Robert. He's 2 or 3 different pseudonyms. Oppenheimer was one of them, wasn't it? I'm not sure. There's 2 or 3 different names they had for him. And this was a gentleman in 1949 in St. Louis, wasn't it?
What story is it that you're
Yeah,
trying?
to do with The Exorcist.
Oh, the kid. Sugar, I can't remember the name. Yeah,
it's Robert. I know there's 3 different. He had pseudonyms to try and protect his identity. But yeah, so The Exorcist is based on a true story as well, but not on a wee girl in a town in the 70s. It was on a young man in 1949, where several priests were actually involved in his exorcism, and it went on for a while. And it was sanctioned by the church earlier on because there was outstanding evidence to suggest that this young man was possessed by a demon.
And they weren't, then it comes up quite a lot. They weren't Catholics, but the Catholic Church dealt with the exorcism for the family or whatever. They're some Protestant denomination or Baptist or something.
Yeah.
But,
well, the devil doesn't discriminate.
You crossed paths with that story today, was it again?
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think now that we're going out, as I say, late tonight, and it was more just to show people what we were doing here and what other people were doing for Samhain and Halloween. No sacrifices, a few pirates, a few ghosts, a few spooks, some fabulous costumes. We have a few more pictures to put up to show you. We'll be back next week with some actual ghost stories. Because we'll be into the first week in November, which is known as the deadest month of the year. The darkest and the deadest, and here it is anyway.
It's dark very early now these days, 4 p.m. So, well, looking forward to catching up again next week with the stories, but it was great getting out and about.
Yeah, I just wanted to show people what was on in Donegal this weekend, this year. And yeah, we'll do more of it and we'll do a bigger lead up next year. And as I say, I can see these festivals and the Armore Ferry Spooky Spectacular just getting bigger and better every year with more people. Next year, we'll try and have some sort of camera where we can actually film at night and people can get to appreciate and enjoy it more. But for now, from me, and from Ben, Ihawaii from Donegal, and have a happy, safe Halloween, and be careful about all those ghosts and ghouls out there tonight.